So if you take this statement, if this statement is true, it becomes false. If it becomes false, it becomes true. If you put this statement in a computer, it runs into infinite series. And that's like a liar's paradox, one of the paradox in foundations of mathematics. Like that, we have so many paradoxes which are very not ordinary paradoxes. We are deep paradoxes. One are puzzles. Puzzles you can solve today or tomorrow, but they are very foundational paradoxes. Now, let me enter further into deeper issues in the foundations of mathematics. Foundations means roots, on the which building stands, right? So there are three major issues in the foundations of mathematics which came, and I am not entering into first two. I will directly enter into third issue in the foundations. These are some of the very good books on foundations of theory. It tells you the real issues in mathematics, and this also constant companion to mathematics. Give you 2-3 hints to take you to the final third issue, the real issue. One of the issue which was raised, actually, the principle of excluded middle. The principle of excluded middle means, as we study in our computer science, in our mathematics, that either A is true or not A is true. Yes? Yes or no? Everybody yes or no? I just to checking whether everybody is awake or not. Okay, so fine. Because mathematics means you have to always keep on checking. I request speakers to keep checking the audience. So that's the general concept which you use to make any proof in mathematics or in computer science. You prove not A, then okay, A is true. Like that, A or not A. This is called excluded middle, means there is no middle path, only this side or that side, sorry. Either this side or that side. So this principle was attacked by one of the brilliant mathematicians from Netherlands, I think, Brouwer. He said that, he gave example, very beautiful example, and he attacked this. He said this principle is not true. He said, for example, take the digits of pi, 3.14, this, right? Now he says, if I make a statement, after 1 million decimal places, there are 4 nines together. Can you say yes or no? And we don't know. We have no answer. If you compute today about 1 million or 2 million, you can put the question for later. So this question has no either yes, no either. It has either no, no, no. You cannot answer it. So this is called question. This is the issue which start, and this is a very foundational issue. Don't take it very easily, because most of the proofs which you use in mathematics, computer science, all the programming, you use this basic principle of excluded middle. And this was questionable, and it led to actually we have very distinguished scholars. They are in that line, or we say parampara, or from that Brouwer, Netherlands. We have 2-3 good scholars coming. They will be talking about, it led to a big area of mathematics, intuitionism, finally. They will be talking deeply into that. So this was question. Next, very deep issue. What are numbers really? This is a book by Dadkin, very renowned mathematician. This is the book, name of the book itself is What Are Numbers and What They Could Be. Actually, if you see the history of numbers in mathematics, is very interesting and very humorous, because some mathematicians want to explain numbers 1, 2, 3 using infinity, and some people use numbers to explain infinity. It goes back and forth, but we don't know what actually numbers are. Issue is really deep, because it is not the question of, I'll tell you, okay, let us go step by step. So what are numbers? You will see what the issue really is. It is the comprehension of the meaning of the numbers, not the symbols. Because how, for example, this box does not distinguish between 2 flowers, but I can distinguish. I can say this is 1, this is 2. But can this box distinguish these 2 flowers? Means the two-ness, the differentness of 2 things, that was actually the root in question. So how do the numbers comes, the root of the numbers is that. And that is the third thing which arose is definitions and meaning. Actually, that was it goes from numbers, you go deeper into that point, that whether the meaning of the things means, if you say two, the two-ness, the distinction of two items, how do you differentiate these things? So there was a lot of actually lot of struggle and war kind of between this all happened in the beginning of 20th century. From actually, if you see modern science, the core of modern science from 1900 beginning to 1940, more or less everything is settled. In quantum physics also, all this de Broglie and wave equation, Heisenberg, uncertainty, everything happened between 1919 to 1940. 30-40 years, everything was settled. Lot of wars, lot of oppositions each other, but it is clear that we will know what is clear. And same exactly happened in mathematics. This 30-40 years, lot of issues about this. And this was one of the conversations between Hermann Weyl, one of the brilliant mathematicians, and Polya, regarding the definitions and meaning. You say mathematical theorems should not only be true but also meaningful. What do you mean by meaningful? This is a matter of honesty. It is a mistake to mix philosophical statements into science. Well, what Polya calls the sentiment and rhetoric, I call insight and truth. What he calls science, I call it pedantry. Polya's defense of set theory is mysticism. Separating mathematics as formal from spiritual life kills it, turns into a shell. To say that only the chess game is science and insight is not, that is curtailment. Means the issue started coming that fine, I can deal with the symbols, but where is the meaning? Because the meaning is not on paper, meaning is here. So what is here? The question is very simply. To put it very black and white in two sentences, we put the symbols, words, everything, that's fine on paper. But where does the meaning lie? Meaning lie here. And here is what? So that is the kind of question. Then say, yeah, you see, if you see, yeah, this is very important to note. I think the definition, the concept of definitions. We have a very good or bad, whatever you want to say, habit of defining things. You want to understand means you have to define. And there is the catch where you land up in problems. Once you want to define something, you will have issues. Rather, you cannot use the word issue, maybe you can have a good thing, because you will have insight about the deeper aspects of life. That the very definition, I will tell you how it comes, why it comes, I will tell you. Take for example the definition of set, Cantor's definition of set, which is kind of foundational because whole set theory, everything slowly started moving towards set theory. And you see this, a set is gathering together into a whole of definite, distinct objects of our perception, which is we intuitively know, which are called elements of set. Now we know intuitively the distinct objects. Brouwer, one of the mathematicians, questioned this very much. How I know intuitively? What is the source of intuition? Intuitively means inbuilt. Brouwer explains it, inbuilt. How I know inbuilt? There are two distinct things. There are two elements of set. How I know these things? That he questioned. Actually, he gave another definition of set, and that's how he founded another discipline parallel, and that is also consistent and valid. So this definition, why this definition? Once you give some definition of something, you yourself has to come inside the definition. That is a problem. I will tell you a little bit. Okay, peak of okay. So later I will tell you about definition. So peak of development is that finally these issues, I just give you a little hints, that 3-4 issues. You go into that, the issue was really solved, or you can say it came to culmination by Gödel's incompleteness theorem, because actually there are issues like Hilbert is on one side and Brouwer is kind of one side, and there are people who are joining Hilbert, there are people who are joining Brouwer, and there was issues started fighting so much that what is the foundations of mathematics. So finally it came to a good kind of insight or conclusion by the Gödel's incompleteness theorem that which is a very heavy statement, but it is true, and some people try to bypass it using that Gödel theorem is valid for this area, for this part. So many ways people try to bypass, and but the basic idea is that mathematics by itself is incomplete. You need a mathematician. Until as mathematician is there, mathematics itself cannot be complete, because mathematics plus mathematician makes the complete understanding. So then question will be, what is mathematician? Mathematician doesn't mean the dress or my neurons or sodium or potassium ions or carbon hydrogen atoms running in my body. Where is the consciousness lying? What is that in the mathematics, the mathematician, the core? So if you leave mathematician, then mathematics is coming incomplete. That's the core idea of the thing. Means the being, the conscious being, or whatever word you want to use, if you take it out, the whole issues of in mathematics comes out. And you see, if you see the roots of Gödel's incompleteness theorem, they all land up into, I will tell you how, little idea about. See, these paradoxes which I was telling you, last paradox, Gödel's incompleteness theorems, the question of meaning, they all boil down to problems of self-reference. If you see the Gödel's paradox, Gödel's proof of incompleteness theorem, if you see the Russell's paradox, whatever issues they have raised, actually they have used the basic same thing, self-reference. And here everything stops. Our computer runs into loop and your mathematics has incompleteness. Because as soon as you bring in self-reference, like Russell brings self-reference using sets, that if a set is referring to itself, everything finally boils down to the issues, major issues of the mathematics in foundation boils down to self-reference. Because when I say to you in person that I am a liar, you understand very clearly what I am saying, whether I am lying or true. But a computer cannot understand. A formal language or a machine cannot understand. So there is a difference between that. This self-reference, why this self-reference issue is coming? Because we are missing a self inside our mathematics. That is the basic idea. The self or the consciousness, or different words are used in different traditions, or a non-material being, or whatever word you want to use, Atma or any XYZ words, doesn't matter, Jivatma. This, because of this self, you remove the self, that is why your issue of self-reference is coming. And because you are the conscious person who is doing mathematics, and this is the cause of incompleteness. And that's how, when this kind of hints came inside the mathematics thing, you see so many mathematicians turn towards spirituality. You will see the history of mathematics. Actually, you will be surprised. Sometime, if anybody has time to go find out, Google it, about Wales' books, his works, beautiful. This person, he was a follower of Hilbert. He was very clear in his direction of life. But when the Brouwer issue came, when the issues in the foundations came, he turned himself, changed himself from a student of Hilbert to a student of Brouwer. And because of this. And then he was convinced because of these issues in the foundations, there's a book, there are a lot of beautiful books by Weil, The Open World, Philosophy of Mathematics and Natural Science. Mathematics pure inquiry in itself, according to conviction of many great thinkers, by special character, is certainty and stringency, lifts the human mind into closer proximity with the divine. So this, if one idea is that if one goes really deep inside the foundations of mathematics, he is bound to come to a very beautiful spiritual insights about soul or God, which we so easily talk in our spiritual traditions. Same thing, our Cantor, metaphysics and theology, I can but confess, had later says to my soul that I find too little time for my first love, mathematics. Actually, Cantor, there are beautiful work on Cantor. He went into the foundations, and of course, infinity and all, beautiful. Means the spiritual aspect straight away comes out. It's like you go into the foundation of mathematics, you see the content which we so openly talked our beginning of the spirituality, the soul, the consciousness, or God. Of course, God getting, this is our Pranikar. So not only that, mathematicians did not stop there. They got the hints that there is definitely something divine, something inside the root. That's why we are having issues, and they got hint to it. Not only they got hint, they started exploring deeper into spiritual aspects using mathematics. So that's why so many mathematicians actually try to prove soul, God, consciousness. That's a beautiful, interesting thing. I think Christoph will take you more into the ontological proof. Proof means some kind of logical argument. These all mathematicians, you see, they somewhere or other worked on these aspects. You will be surprised because these are not generally known. If I ask you, have you heard about, everybody says, I have heard about, say, Gödel or Brouwer or Cantor, but what work they have done on this side, on the other side of the coin, is not generally known. So you can go into it yourself, all these scholars, even Poincaré, beautiful work on inspiration, intuition, actually. So all these people, Pascal, that somebody will be speaking, I think, on Pascal, about probability. Euler, I will give you one or two idea about Euler, brilliant mathematician. This is a book called Letters to German Princes, and from there, this is the excerpt that to think, to judge, to reason, to possess mental feeling, to reflect and will are qualities incompatible with the nature of bodies. Means the body which we study in modern science, in physics, like there is a block of mass, you apply the free body equation on that. And beings invested with them must be of a different nature, such are souls and spirits. He who possesses these qualities in highest degree is called God. Very simple definition. He is talking about soul, God, very openly, very simply. And in fact, this book, Euler, this book, Prince and Letter to German Princes, there were three. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Is this to wake me up or wake you all? Okay, fine. So I take it that it's to wake you all. So we'll finish it soon. So this, so the third part was when they published it, because this world sometimes try to remove God. This is very common practice here. So they removed the third part which contained all this. Later it was published by some other people again. And this was Euler, real happiness to be found only in God himself. Boolean, there is equations for dt. There is a book, Boolean, many of you might have heard, Laws of Thought, which is kind of foundational for our modern computer science, all the Boolean algebra which we use. This is Gauss, Ramanujan, an equation that you have, by now you must have. This equation is a beautiful equation which none of us know how he got it. But it is true, but we don't know how he got it. This is Brouwer. So for Brouwer, the idea is this: my life at the moment is present conviction of my ego and my belief in my representation, the belief in that is the origin of my ego, which gives me my representations independent of me, is directly linked to that. And something like that, like me, lives and that transcends me, and that is my God. So Brouwer concept is very simple. Now he will ask, it's like this. He will ask you, do you exist? Answer, do you exist? Yes or no? So if you exist, God has to exist. This is very simple. Means, if you exist and you don't know how you came here, from where you came, where are you going, there must be somebody being beyond me who has put me in this situation, much, much above me. And that being, I call it God. That is the Brouwer. So, okay. Okay, so I think materialism is false. This bell is also false. God, so this is Gödel, and okay, I will end with this slide, probably one or two slides. Don't give me third bell. I will feel very painful. Self and afterlife. Okay, this is a simple logic. Actually, Gödel had beautiful books which are not known. Please go to that books. Many of them are even some people try to even hide those, actually, publishers and all. You go to their books and interviews, the discussion, the very clear Gödel says that there must be afterlife. The soul has to be there and there must be afterlife. The very simple logic reason he gives is, as a mathematician, one of the brilliant logicians of our planet, He says that I know that universe has billions of years of existence here. And what is my life? 80, 100 years. I don't think if this world is rationally, logically built, will I be made just for 100 years? That means whole this creation has no meaning. Just for 100 years, so much big vast creation is made and after that is useless. So he says no, 100 years cannot be reality. Billions of years creating universe and giving human life only 100 years. There must be a chance to improve ourselves, our consciousness, our being, our tendencies, our inner thoughts. So he says afterlife is must. Okay. There is ontological proof. I think Christoph will go more into that, and this is last. So our Vedic scriptures from our Indian tradition says that the goal of our life is okay. Goal of our life is to connect to the Lord of our heart, and until unless we do that, we will not be happy and satisfied. So this is a poem. There is a beautiful, interesting things in mathematical poems. There are poems using mathematics. Dr. Singh was talking about it a lot. Couple of times we heard from his mouth that we can write poems using mathematics. So here is one poem as an offering to all of you and him, that how the finite and infinite are linked. You will find in the proceedings one of the articles related to mathematics and poem. So I end it here. I think thank you very much, and sorry for troubling my stage people. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Varun Agarwal. Now we have time for Q&A. We'll take a couple of questions. Anyone has any questions, we'll come with the mic. Does anyone have any questions? Just raise your hands.
Where are you? Aside from Gödel and God, I think there is a simple argument about the difficulty of vacuity to interpret reality with mathematics. If we agree that number and the questions are a product of the mind, and that reality is a product, our view of the mind, then explaining the reality with mathematics is explaining the mind with the mind, which is a tautology, which then does not make any logical sense. Right. We don't need Gödel or the beautiful idea of God to see this inconsistency.
Fine, very good. I think when Professor Lucy stand up, I was a little worried. He's one of the renowned scholars and professor from Switzerland, Italy, also both universities. So I'm too small to put his answer, his point, but his point is same. You see, if you go into logic, you will go into that loop that he's saying mind and mathematics. Exactly. This loop can only be stopped by one thing. There is no way this loop can be stopped, and that is, I'll give you exact answer, then you can meditate on it. Can you prove that you exist? Can you prove that you exist? This is here it stops. You will not, you know that you exist, you will not be able to prove it. So the tautology or the loop stops at you, you know that you exist. That is called consciousness. In Indian scriptures, it is called chitta. I have a knowledge, I exist. That is a property of self. This loop stops there only, otherwise there is no way you will be able to stop that loop. I hope that helps.
But you agree that this self cannot be explained by science?
Oh, never ever. Never ever. How? See, science can explain the carbon hydrogen atom running in my body. If I want to say of me, self is a very big thing for science. If I give a small bird on the tree, can you tell me after 10 seconds where the bird will be? You will not be able to predict the motion of the bird. Use projectile motion, use Schrodinger equation, whatever you want. You cannot. Why? Because there is something in the bird which escapes your modern science. That self, that spirit lies there, and you cannot formalize it, you cannot mathematize it. It has a property of consciousness, it has a property of free will, it can go here, it can go there. You are not able to get it. Thank you very much.
We can take one more